Welcome to meet the candidates for Vestry at the Episcopal Church of the Epiphany in Richardson. I'm Mother Betsy Randall. This year we are going to have just a few questions, in fact just 2 questions, in order to kind of get each candidate's perspective on what God is doing and how their gifts might inform the vestry. These folks have been nominated by the nominating committee and agreed to run, and all of them have been recognized as leaders and servants at Epiphany. Their administrative gifts are evident. What I'm asking them is, what perspective do you bring when you share your gifts, and what is God doing? So stay tuned for some short interviews, and then click on the candidate questionnaire to find out a lot about each candidate. Welcome, Frank Norwood. I'm grateful that you're willing to put your hat in for Vestry. I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, where do you see God at work at Epiphany?
Oh, goodness, that's a simple question. God is everywhere at Epiphany, from the corporate worship on Sunday to our outreach program to the international students, to the Boy Scouts, to our outreach to the local food banks.
Network.
Yeah. God is everywhere. This is a tremendous congregation that's centered on the will of God and doing the will of God.
That's wonderful.
There's very few like that in the world.
Well, I know I love serving here. So the other question I was going to ask you is, we have certain experiences in our lives, but there are certain gifts that God really activates for a certain space and time. And what gifts and passions do you think you might share with the vestry if elected?
Well, I think based on my life's experience, I've been Episcopalian since 1969 and have incurred, as a small business owner, a career in the military, a school administrator, certain skills that are applicable to running a vestry, being part of a vestry, plus the spiritual side of the house. I've participated in Faith Alive team members, things of this nature, Alpha team members. So I think these skills all come together to help on the vestry.
Good. And have you served on a vestry before?
I've served 2 terms on the vestry. Traveling around the United States, we got to attend many Episcopal churches and also in Japan. So I served 2 terms on a vestry. I've been a finance chairman, a rector search committee chairman, these type of things within the church.
Well, good. Well, we're grateful that you're willing to serve, and we're grateful that you took the time out today to share a little bit about yourself. The folks can find out more on your link on this email and in the comments on Facebook, and you can find out more about Frank.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot, Frank. Well, welcome, Brian Terrell. I am grateful, and the church is grateful, that you're willing to put your hat in for vestry and for the election. I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
First, where do you see God at work at Epiphany?
Well, I've seen him at work in just people willing to serve and doing things like continuing the online prayer ministry, which has been
Right.
so powerful, I think,
Yeah.
and just reaching out to the community and serving and network and things. There's so many examples of just people just joyfully serving, and I think that's one of the things I see God doing out here, is just inspiring people to be servants.
Good, great. And through your experience and your gifts, what do you hope to share with Vestry if elected?
I think my passion for the liturgy and how I don't know how music fits in with that, but my passion for the liturgy, basically, and worship, for how that goes.
Yeah. Well, you've been involved in liturgy and music even on the mission trips. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm so used to that in my life, bringing my guitar to things and playing, and I enjoy it so much, and just I remember fondly playing Amazing Grace on the East Texas trip mission. I thought it was fun out in the yard, out there where people were working and everything, and I thought it was great. So, but it's just something I've done on since I can remember with the guitar. I go play. I play wherever I go. So it seems like.
Well, we're grateful you're bringing that perspective and your gifts, and we look forward to seeing what God will do. Thank you very much.
Me too. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Welcome, Jeff Jones. We are grateful that after being nominated, you agreed to put your hat in the ring for Vestry. And I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and folks can look at your questionnaire and learn out more about you later. But the first thing I want to ask you is, where do you see God at work at Epiphany?
I see it everywhere, even though we've been restricted in what we're doing, but we've been able to find ways to do that, and I see it all over in all of our ministries. It's been a blessing to me and to a lot of other people.
Yeah. How did you stay connected during the pandemic?
Definitely through Facebook and going to the outdoor services. I felt like I did feel connected. Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to work that way, but it did.
Yeah.
We've also had a lot of, we've come together with a prayer group.
Yeah.
That healing prayer group, which has really enriched my spiritual.
Yeah, you're part of that group.
Yes.
and you enjoy the intercessory prayer.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, as far as sharing your gifts, what do you hope? What perspective? I mean, we have administrative work and fiduciary responsibility at Epiphany, but everybody brings their gifts and their passions. What are yours that you hope to share with the vestry and with the parish?
Well, I do have a gift for of just being a helper. So I would love to be able to help out with the campus and the things around here.
Junior warden stuff?
Yeah, junior warden stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
I can be a help there.
Good.
Also, I've been blessed with being able to go out and do porch communions and to visit with members of the parish that can't get to church, and with Community of Hope.
Okay, pastoral care stuff.
Pastoral care,
Yeah.
and that's definitely something I could bring.
That's great. Well, we're grateful to have you running, and look forward to see what God is going to continue to do in you and through the folks at Epiphany. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Well, hi, Megan Roach. I'm glad that you're here with us. Megan actually ran for vestry last year, and when we had a vestry member move, you were the next highest vote getter and were willing to come in and serve for a year. So we're grateful that you've accepted the nomination again this year, so you might serve a full term if elected. So grateful. I'm going to ask you just two questions, Megan. First, where do you see God at work at Epiphany?
For sure, I see God at work, kind of in the growth that we've maintained throughout the pandemic and the way that we've been able to transition when the transitions need to happen from in-person to all virtual and then coming slowly back. We've been able to do that fairly seamlessly, and I think that's really great.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun to have your voice and the great questions you asked on the vestry for this last year. What gifts do you hope to continue sharing if elected for a full term?
I hope to share my gifts of just kind of being involved. I'm not everywhere in the church, but I have been here for the majority of my life. And I think it's a great perspective to have to kind of see where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah, and you're involved in
the Limb Lector Ministry,
Yeah.
Bells, and Vestry.
Okay. Well, That's enough. We're grateful that you're willing to run, and we're excited to see what God will do.
I'm excited. Thank
Yay.
you.
Okay, thanks. Emily Broad, you are a candidate for Vestry, and for that we're thankful. I want to ask you just two simple questions. First question is, where do you see God at work at Epiphany?
Well, I think that since the COVID kind of landed in our lap, that I was always kind of a Sunday morning person, had little kids, we were into the stuff, and as my kids have gotten older and we've gotten older, Saturday night kind of started feeling good, and it was a good place to land. I never really thought I would be there, and once I got there, I could see what was going on there, and it's big doings here at the church. And even if you go back to when we were just in the parking lot in purple circles,
Oh, yeah.
it was amazing. Just that even if it were 10 or 20 or 40 people, the people that were reached, and it was in person, and there was something really neat about that, and it just moved me. And I feel like we're doing something special there, and I'd love to see it continue even once we're inside. And just the neat people, and reaching out to the young people at UTD and involving them, and just the impact that they have on Epiphany is amazing to watch.
That's great. So, how do you think your gifts will influence the vestry? How do you want to share them with the vestry?
I feel like I love to be around people. I'm at a different place in my life, in my 50s. My kids are big. I only have one left. Just the approach. I feel like I have more time to give back now. I really enjoy the Saturday service. I really like doing the acolyte. I don't think I'd ever be able to give that up because it makes me happy. And if I can help serve in that capacity and give back on Saturday and Sunday, and just be around and encourage people to come back and get involved and reach out with the community, with the church, I'd like to be a part of that.
That's great. Well, having a Saturday person on vestry is always really helpful to have that perspective, especially when you kind of dive deep like you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we're grateful that you have put your name in for election.
Thanks for thinking
All
of me.
right. Welcome, Zach Hughes. You are a candidate for vestry, and we're grateful for that. I'm going to ask you two simple questions. First of all, where do you see God at work at Epiphany?
Well, for me, as a parent to two young children, during the pandemic, we've kept them at home. Early on, we were sort of in a bubble. One thing that was exciting for me was partaking in Mission Home Church.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to take the hosts and say the prayer and continue that sacrament. That was really powerful, and bring our children into it. I also have been very impressed by the generosity of Epiphanites, especially with regard to their donations to community network of ministries. I volunteered there for the first time just last weekend.
Oh, tell me how that went.
It was a wonderful experience. I have several years experience in groceries. And so it really brought me back to my younger days, and I enjoyed stocking and rotating bread and produce.
That's
and
great.
Just rolling up my sleeves and just
Serving.
and serving, exactly. Right. It was wonderful, and I'm really excited to see all that network has to offer those in need in the community.
Good. Well, how do you think sharing your gifts will affect the vestry? How do you intend to share your gifts?
Well, I think that I'm detail-oriented and analytical. I've experience managing teams and projects.
Oh, that's great.
But most of all, I think my seminary training experience would certainly inform my work on the vestry. I think that my passion for serving and for answering Christ's call will certainly inform that.
You have some experience serving in nonprofit through seminary?
That's right, yeah. I interned at a South Dallas nonprofit called Dallas Bethlehem Center for about 9 months at the end of my seminary training, and it was a wonderful experience. I learned quite a bit about nonprofit management and engaging with the community and building up community.
That's great. Well, we're excited that you're willing to serve and grateful that you are with us.
Thanks for having me.
Zach.
You're welcome.